Welcome to Miranda TV, visual guide to your city. I'm your host, Mery, and we're presenting you an opportunity to visit your hometown without ever leaving your home. And now, let's look at some upcoming events that you might find interesting.
August 17th, celebrate Joe Strummer's birthday and the music he left behind at Bone Shakers. On August 19th, What a Party SA brings you Extreme Midget Wrestling at Hooligans Bar. And finally, August 25th, check out Border Linea's free art and music showcase at The Mix. For more information and more events, check out puropinche.com.
If there's one thing that can be said about society, it's the need to go mobile. Whether it be phones, internet, or even trips to Mars, the ability to cover long distances is a feature that defines this generation. Meanwhile, back on Earth, mobile food trucks have helped transition street vendors from a necessity to an art form. With the freedom of the open road, food trucks have the ability to turn any night out into a catered event. And now, let's go on location for the second annual Food Truck Throwdown with our correspondent, Taylor James Johnson.
Taylor James Johnson here from Taylor Trash Productions, and I am on location at the Food Truck Throwdown and Music Festival, the second annual. They have music, they have trucks, and inside those trucks, full of delicious food. And all the money goes to benefit the Susan G. Komen Foundation. What kind of meat do you have here, sir?
We make a seared ahi tuna, we do burgers, bacon cheeseburgers, grilled chicken sandwiches, as well as deep fried chicken sandwich.
What do you have for the vegetarians?
Nothing.
Oh,
This truck is great, and that's coming from a Jersey girl.
yeah, whoa! It smells delicious in there. I want to eat the truck itself. Like, I don't even care what kind of food is there. That's how good it smells. Yeah, what's like the most dangerous thing about this?
Getting on.
Getting on? All right, I'm gonna do it.
Are scared of wine, and so we're doing the mixology. We've even got frozen daiquiris, stuff like that in the happy trailer. He's gonna try the trashy stash.
I feel like I've finally gone through puberty. We got spicy food from all over the world. We make our own hot sauces, and we use curries and things in different ways. I'm originally from South Africa, so that's where my recipes and stuff come from. Spiciest thing we have would be our habanero hot sauce on just about anything, but the spiciest dish would have to be the Thai red coconut curry. I'm about to take a bite of the spiciest thing to ever come out of South Africa. It's one of those, it slowly builds, like it's just getting stronger and stronger. It's like a really good burn. Thank you, thank you.
We're at the Boardwalk in Bulverde, the first mobile vending truck park in San Antonio. The best, I would say, and you're standing in front of the best gourmet burger food truck, Toasty Buns.
The only thing fast about this food is its wheels, because it's a truck. Do you get it? Fast food? Do you guys get that joke? No? Food Truck Throwdown! Yeah! Yeah!
It wasn't really we were approached. It was an idea Chrissy had been playing around with for a long time. And then one night over a box of wine, the conversation went from Chrissy saying, well, I need to do this, and then it just slowly kind of morphed into, well, then when we do this, and it's like, oh, I guess it's the four of us then. Okay. And that's honestly, it was over a box of Francia.
We had an overdose of chicken nuggets in Francia, and it was the brainchild of that.
We've been making dresses out of old sheets and stuff for years. It's just a matter of we went from like sheets with puppy dogs on it to sheets with Star Wars characters and Battlestar Galactica. It was kind of this idea like, what if there was a way to make cute outfits, like a cute Robin costume, and then everything that makes it a costume is detachable. So you can go from Comic-Con to date night and not have to do anything. So we did some sketches real quick, and then they sat in the bottom of a purse for a month. And then one day we pulled it out and was like, you know what? We can do this. Let's do this. And so we sat down one night with a whole bunch of patterns and paper and designs and a lot of boxed wine, and by 12:30 in the morning we had Nerd Alert up on a Facebook page, and we were ready to go. We didn't think Nerd Alert was going to take off like it did. We kind of thought we were going to have a soft opening, but we definitely took off really fast.
We got 15 pounds of Ewok bacon, a whole tauntaun, and a mess load of bantha fodder. And we're going to cook it, and we're going to eat it.
When I found out we were going to have a dress on at big meal time, I really thought I was going to pee my pants. I was so excited.
The first time, Chrissy, when we got our story in the Express News, they were reading it, like 12 o'clock when it first got printed.
I was so excited. I had fallen over on the way there and like skinned my knees, and then I was sitting in the back of the bar in a booth by myself crying over a stack of newspapers, bleeding, and just like, I'm so happy.
When we got featured on Streets Corner, we all came to my house to watch it together, and I started crying.
It's one thing to know that someone is telling you what you're doing is so cool, but when they believe in it so much that they're gonna incorporate what you're doing into part of their job, like putting you in the newspaper or putting you on their TV show or wearing you to something you made to a really big event, it's just surreal after that.
A lot of the inspiration for our garments comes from 1960s, 1950s, and 1940s clothing. 50, 60 years ago, you could have just a tight-fitted dress without having too much cleavage, or you could have, just the right silhouette to where you feel confident and you feel sexy and you don't have to flash everything out. You can go as Chewbacca and not be wearing a furry bikini. You don't have to be provocative to get attention. You should be able to be classy and conservative and still attractive. We've gotten kind of negative comments from guys who have gotten upset about how we've tried to make being a geek mainstream, and how being a geek shouldn't be mainstream, and they're this secret subculture, which is absurd. I don't understand that at all. They're not mad about, a movie making, $300 million. They don't care about that, but if I make a dress that's got a Star Wars print on it, I'm the bad guy. I definitely would recommend anyone who's interested in sewing absolutely to learn, because it's fun, and there's a great feeling when you make something and then you look at it and you know that of all the billions of people in the world, that is the only garment like this in the entire world, and it's just a feeling that it's hard to describe, I guess. It's really, really cheesy, but it's absolutely true. Any big hobby, anything like this is a risk, and you have to just be confident. If you go into a project like this thinking, this is probably not gonna take off, this is gonna fail, then you're probably right, you're probably gonna fail. But if you really believe in what you're doing and you really think that you've got a good idea, just run with it. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Just don't invest a ton of money in something that you're not sure about. We started our entire business off on $500, and if we can do that and start off as well as we did, then I think anybody could.
Hi everyone, everyone. Thanks for joining us. And at the Bijou, I'm Nina Duran. I'm here with Taylor James Johnson, Taylor Trash Productions, and our special guest, local filmmaker Rod Guajardo, also known as the Rod Father here in San Antonio. Thank you so much, Rod, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So this week, we got to screen Safety Not Guaranteed, an independent film about a guy who posts an ad looking for someone to time travel with him. It's actually based or inspired by a real ad out of a real magazine, which I thought was somewhat interesting. And so just initial thoughts, Taylor, what did you think about Safety Not Guaranteed?
Well, it's one of those just perfect, quirky indie comedies with a little bit of drama in it. It's I described it once as Back to the Future meets Garden State.
Right.
And yeah, it's a very character-driven film. Everyone in it has a heart that is broken, and just it has these underlining themes of regret and living for the moment, which fits perfect in time travel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure. Rod, what did you think about Safety Not Guaranteed?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, story-wise, character-wise, I mean, each one of the characters were great. They all had their own storyline, but they all also had they went off into their own little thing. And so I really enjoyed the film. I think technically wise, what do you think? I think there were some problems there, Taylor.
A little bit, yeah.
The score was a little... I felt they could have done more with the music in it.
There wasn't a score until like 3/4.
Exactly.
And then they
just
played
kind of
a
stopped.
song.
And then how about the actors? Aubrey Plaza, Mark Duplass, I believe?
She's so good. She plays the same character in every movie, but she's perfect for this role.
She is. I mean, the way she, that whole character of hers. And then I asked you afterwards, it's like, is that her, like, normally, like, all her films?
Yeah.
Everything. Literally everything she does.
It was a perfect role for her.
Yeah.
And the lead actor, he did
amazing.
On this poster, or this wall of movie posters behind me, he's on about 2 of them. So you know that he's about to make a huge splash in the indie film industry.
Right. Yeah, I really loved his character. How the entire time you're kind of going back and forth. Which is he real? Is he?
Right. Is he weird or
is he telling the truth?
Really,
is he crazy?
I believed him for most of it.
Yeah, me too.
I'm just gullible.
Yeah, he's right up that alley, right?
I wanted it to be real, and you got to stay tuned throughout the whole movie to really find out what happens, what this guy's up to.
Yeah, and then if you could throw this movie into a genre, what do you think that would be? Because I know for me it was funny how I kept going back and forth. Like, it's a romantic movie, but it's a comedy. But there are it has its moments of suspense and its sci-fi moments too. Right.
There's a heist action scene.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like I said before, you're gonna cry, you're gonna laugh, you're gonna be full of suspense, and so I would say dramedy. That's a real genre now.
For sure.
I count it as one.
Yeah.
A little more comedy than drama, but still not enough straight up comedy to call it that.
Right. But I think the locations they were at, it looked like they were in the northwest somewhere
around Seattle.
Right?
Yeah.
I think they could have taken advantage of being in those locations and made it more beautiful. I mean, it was a beautiful story, followed up with some beautiful scenes,
Exactly.
Right, absolutely.
Exactly.
A great independent film. So if you guys had to rate the film out of 5 stars, let's just give it a 5-star rating. Rod, what would you rate Safety Not Guaranteed?
Although I loved it, I can't say 5. If they, there was better cinematography in there, if they would have taken advantage of the locations they were at, I would say 5. But this has got to be an easy 4. The story was great. The characters were great. If they just would have picked it up a little bit on the location side and the shooting, I think it could have been easy 5.
So 4 stars?
Yeah, I definitely recommend it.
4 stars.
I'm going to also have to say 4 stars just because you can't just hand out 5 stars to anyone. They pretty close to 5 stars, but no cigar.
So if we put your 4 and your 4, 8 out of 10 stars. Not a bad idea. While watching independent films is absolutely amazing, there's nothing like watching the highly anticipated summer movie, which this year was Dark Knight Rises, the reportedly last film and the latest film from the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy. I don't even know where to start with this film. One, as a superhero film, just setting up, just kind of the bar for all other movies now. Rod, just kind of your initial thoughts on Dark Knight Rises.
Did not live up to my expectations.
It did not.
I was expecting something more. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of, comic book movies, but after seeing the reviews, after seeing all the hype, I thought I was getting blown away.
Right.
And even you know, up to seeing the movie, I heard good reviews, and so I was still expecting to get blown away, and I was kind of left in the dark.
Yeah. And Taylor, you saw this movie twice.
Yes, I saw it twice, and I plan on seeing it a third time because
Really?
I'm such a loser. But yes, I would have to respectfully disagree with Rod. The thing about the Christopher Nolan movies is that each of the three Batman, they're so different. Batman Begins is a completely different film than Batman.
Dark Knight.
Right? And then The Dark Knight Rises. So I'm trying not to compare the two and looking at them, or the three, and just looking at them separately. So just as by itself, I think it was a great movie. I was on the edge of my seat for the whole 3 hours.
Yeah, it's a very long movie. Yeah.
Yes, but and I would watch the 4-hour cut that apparently Christopher Nolan has somewhere.
Right.
But that's just me.
And what did y'all think of Bane, of Tom Hardy as Bane? You know, clearly the Joker wasn't in, you know, this one. And so having to replace that villain, Heath Ledger, who did such an epic job
I don't think
of the Joker.
Been more pressure on an actor than on Tom Hardy to live up to the Joker, who not only it's more than just a character now,
right?
You know, and on so many different levels, and he did the best that he could. I mean, you can't compare them,
right?
But I think he did a really good job.
It was hard to hear, right? It was hard to understand him at points. I thought I was the only one, and then we got out of the theater, and you told me, this is kind of hard to hear this guy.
Yeah.
But I think he did a really good job. His fight scenes, he definitely kicked some ass.
Oh,
sure.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
But besides not, hearing him so much,
yeah,
I thought it was great.
It was good to just look at on screen.
Right.
You were like, it reminded me of
it's monstrous
of Darth Vader or something.
Yeah.
There's even a scene where he crushes the guy's neck and he has the mask, and it's like this is like the next generation's Darth Vader.
Yeah, and then Anne Hathaway is Catwoman.
Sexy.
Sexy, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought she did a great job of playing. There's that bar scene where she was just very up, or what do you call it, just extremely strong, and then went to playing the damsel in distress just like that in an instant.
I think she's like, nobody told me it was uncrackable.
Exactly.
Right then you were like, okay,
something's gonna happen.
Perfect casting.
Right. Yeah.
Even though Michelle Pfeiffer is great, Halle Berry's awful, but Anne Hathaway is on
she did
another
great.
level.
Yeah, and then Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
I think he stole the show. Every scene that he was in, I was really focused and really in tune to what he was doing.
He kind of, at least for me, symbolized that string of hope throughout the movie.
Right.
And so I thought that was a really interesting, not twist on his character, but part of his character that made him very vital to the story.
Definitely the most heroic character of this superhero movie. Even more heroic than Batman, I guess.
Right. And then Raj, as a filmmaker, someone who does this all the time, just your general opinion on The Dark Knight Rises.
Good, not great.
Not great. So, of a rating of 5 stars?
I have to give it a 2.5.
2.5?
I was really expecting, I wanted to be taken on a trip. I wanted to see an epic adventure, and I think I saw too many things that I've seen before.
Okay. Taylor?
I'm gonna say 4.5.
4.5.
Yes, just because you have to be like Citizen Kane or something to get the 5th star, and this is almost the Citizen Kane of superhero movies. I think this movie made the Avengers seem like child's play.
Yeah.
That's what I felt, and so.
Well, that's...
You're wrong. You're wrong, Mister
Bruce Wayne. He wasn't funny. I mean, I like the Iron Man series.
Oh yeah,
he's funny. He's got jokes. He's the whole sexy things there.
Right.
But Bruce Wayne, he's kind of dry. And then when you actually push the mask on, his funny voice comes out.
Well, I mean, and I agree. I mean that it's more fun to watch Robert Downey Jr. say a few puns and stuff.
It is more fun.
Is it
to watch him anytime?
But the point of these movies are to show Batman if he existed in the real world, and I think I like seeing a superhero movie taken too seriously.
Do you think this movie is going to set the bar for any future superhero movies that are to come out or be released?
For me, it didn't set any bar. I hope to see better, and I think there will be better.
Very cool. Well, there you guys have it. 2 completely different takes on The Dark Knight Rises. You got Rod Guajardo, gave it 2.5 stars, and Taylor James Johnson, who gave The Dark Knight Rises 4.5 stars. And for Safety Not Guaranteed, they both agreed on 4 stars. If you haven't seen either movie, head out to your local Santikos Theater and check it out. From Miranda TV, I'm Nina Duran. This is At the Bijou.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Local 782's DIY Workshop. My name is Daniela Riojas and I'm a photographer and also videographer. We're going to be covering the basics of photography today. So probably the most important part of photography and also video is picking whatever camera suits you best. It depends on what you're actually going for, the aesthetic, and what kind of feel that you're going for in the pictures. This is a medium format Mamiya camera, which means that it takes 120 film that you can find at Camera Exchange or online for pretty cheap. So if you take a basics to photography class at a university, they'll probably ask you to do get a 35mm camera. And you can find the film for this basically anywhere, like at Walmart or Wolf Camera. But for the most part, I use my digital camera, which is probably the most prevalent camera out there today on the market, and they're actually all pretty affordable. These are all DSLR cameras, which means that it's digital and that you can change out the lenses and put on different lenses depending on, again, what kind of feel you're going for and also the environment that you're working in. I use a 50mm. This is my favorite lens. I feel like I can do a lot with it, but there's a variety of lenses that you can use. There's a ton of lenses that you can get. What you'll probably get if you get a digital camera, a DSLR camera, is a kit lens with it, which is either a 17 to 55mm or in this case, this one here is an 18 to 55mm lens. Very basic, which means that it can go as wide as 18mm and then zoom into about a 55 to 55mm. This is another example of another lens that you can get. It's a 70 to 300mm. It's a macro lens. This is for shooting very far away subjects, so you can zoom in pretty close. Okay, so today I'll be shooting Tim Ortiz. He's a model, a local model here from San Antonio. I'll be using my 50mm lens, which is a great portrait lens. So we're gonna go over here to these great windows in my studio, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about natural lighting, and I'll introduce you to Tim Ortiz. So if you're just starting out on photography, it's probably best to start using natural lighting, of course. It doesn't cost any money, and it's out there all the time, available for you to use. Your ISO, your aperture, your shutter speed basically govern how your photo will turn out. Your aperture is how far the inside mechanism inside of it is going to open up. So it's kind of like your pupil, and your pupil will adjust to light. Like if you're in a very dark setting, then it's going to open up really wide, trying to get some more light in there. If you're shooting outside in the day and there's a lot of movement going on, of course you're going to have your shutter speed very high so that you can freeze all of the action. If you slow down your shutter speed, then a lot of action will get a little bit more blurry, especially in low light situations. So your ISO is basically, it manipulates how sensitive the sensor inside of your camera is, how sensitive to light it is. All right, so right now my settings are, my shutter speed is pretty fast because I do want him to look a little bit dark and have him as more of a silhouette. So I have my shutter speed at 320, my aperture at 2.5, and my ISO at 200. I'm gonna snap a few shots. So the best time of the day to shoot is either early in the morning or right at dusk when the sun is going down. Just anywhere where the sun is on the horizon and it's coming up so that it'll hit the subject directly in the face, rather than, let's say, like at noon or midday, where the sun is right above everybody and will basically cast shadows downwards and it won't be too pleasing. Another thing that I would recommend is having an assistant or someone to help you out to hold a reflector for you. These are pretty easy to find and they're not that expensive. I've also seen people use, and I've done it before, just a board and you cover it with aluminum foil and it reflects light just the same way. Thanks again for joining us for another segment of Local 782's DIY Workshop. For more information on upcoming workshops, visit local782.org. Once again, I'm Daniela Riojas, and I will see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Miranda TV. For more information, find us online at mirandastudios.tv, facebook.com/MirandaTV, or on Twitter at MirandaTVOnline. I'm your host, Nick Mery. You can find me on Twitter at MaryKid. And for all of us here at Miranda Studios, we'll see you next time. Thank you.